Everybody, I want to thank you for joining us on this Wednesday evening. I am Kim Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of Bananas, and this is our fourth and final installment of the 2021 Oakland Early Learning Symposium. We want to thank all of you for those of you who have joined us on these Zoom events this year. So far, we have had over 430 unique attendees, which really says something about our early learning community. The fact that you would join us to learn and grow even during this very difficult year, it's pretty amazing. As many of you know, we devoted much of the content of the symposium this year to supporting you during this pandemic. Our first event was in August, and it was focused on how to reopen childcare safely. Our second event was in October, and we learned about how to use online platforms like Zoom to continue early education with young children, and also how to connect with families. In March, we heard from community-based organizations on how to connect the families we work with to neighborhood resources. This year, we also wanted to create a space for you to ask questions and help each other come up with creative solutions. So we hosted informal Zoom gatherings in the evening called Let's Talk Early Learning. We have had three wonderful facilitators, Annette Wright, Nini Humphrey, Jaquita Wallace, and have made these events fun and informative. At the last Let's Talk, we were able to team up with USCF, University of California, San Francisco medical staff to learn about COVID-19 in early care and education settings, vaccines, and variants. We learned a lot together this year, and tonight we are going to take some time to reflect and celebrate our resiliency and think about how to plan for the future. Now for some housekeeping from Carter Keena, who is co-facilitating today. She is the Director of Programs at First 5 Alameda County. Carla?
Sorry, first rule of Zoom is to unmute yourself. Hello and welcome. We will have specific times for questions for speakers. If you have a question in the Q&A period, please use the raise hand feature by clicking on the participants button and clicking raise hand on the pop-up window. You can also ask questions in the chat. We will do our best to answer all questions, but some may need follow-up. Note that we are going to be recording all questions in the chat and in our conversations and be putting together a comprehensive question and answer document that will be sent out after the meetings. This meeting is being recorded and will be shared as well as the Google slide presentation. So please keep that in mind as you participate. Also, we want to capture some of this event through screenshots. So if you do not want to be photographed, please keep your video off. We will not be taking screenshots in the breakout rooms. And just in general, you do not need your video on now, but you may turn them on during the small breakout sessions happening later in this event. And a reminder on Zoom etiquette. Keep yourselves muted when you can and save your questions for the Q&A portion of the agenda. You can do this by clicking the microphone icon in your toolbar. We know many of you joining us today will be receiving professional development credits, and those certificates will be emailed out to you right after today's event. Finally, a word on security and technical difficulties. We certainly hope we won't have any tonight, but we will do our very best to keep you informed on how to proceed if we do. And just before we get started, the Oakland Starting Smart and Strong team wants to thank Rain Foundation and Packard Foundation for supporting this symposium. And there are many organizations throughout Oakland that participated in making this event happen, and those partners are listed here on the slide. And now, before we get started, I'm going to hand it off to my esteemed Dr. LaWanda Wesley, who will help us to honor our native lands before the meeting begins. LaWanda.
Hi, thank you so much, Carla and Kim. I'm excited to do this piece for us once again. It's a land acknowledgement of our folks who are of Indigenous background, our Indigenous brothers and sisters. And we know that in remembrance that many of us are zooming in on unceded territory that still belong to our nation folks I am zooming in from the Nissan territory and nation here in Sacramento, California. And where you're zooming in, we'll place an opportunity in the chat in just a bit so that you can search where you are zooming in from. We will share this slide deck with you, which we're really excited to do that with you. There is an amazing artist named Ray Zaragoza. She's of mixed heritage of both Japanese and indigenous culture. And she does artistry work around her indigenous community. And she talks about the broken treaty and relationships in relationship to the United States in particular, but also all the promise that it brings of what we can be and what we can reimagine, which is the essence of tonight's event. It's about optimism, where we've been and where we like to go. And in the same fashion, Ray Zaragoza, who's an artist in this and her community, shares the same sentiments. And we'll share in just a bit how to find her music, and in particular, her piece that's titled American Dream. So we hope that you find the rest of the evening as celebratory and as exciting as we find it, and that you get to hear from your colleagues and your peers about how they've navigated both challenges and opportunities. And that is it for me. And I will pass it on back to my colleague, Carla.
Okay, let's see. Thanks, Lawanda. It's really important that we take the time to do that at our meetings. And well, we wanted to kick off tonight right and really show you how so many people feel about you, our childcare providers and teachers. So we have a very special tribute video to show you. Jackie, can you show the video now?
President Nikki Fortunato Bass. Hello, I'm Oakland City Council President Nikki Fortunato Bass. I'm also a mother to a teenage daughter, and I remember how important her pre-K childcare providers were to getting her ready to be in a school learning environment. I want to express my deep gratitude and appreciation for early learning professionals. You are doing incredible work and have literally helped hold our community together through this very difficult COVID-19 pandemic. You've also dealt with and overcome countless challenges. On behalf of our City Council, I honor your commitment to our children and appreciate all you do day in and day out for our children and families in the City of Oakland and beyond. Thank you.
Greetings, early learning professionals. I want to just express my extreme gratitude to you for everything that you've done over these last 18 months. My name is Kim Johnson, and I'm the Executive Director of Bananas. And on behalf of our staff, Board of Directors, and all the families that we serve, I want to give you a great big virtual hug and a very loud and resounding thank you. We could not have made it through the year without you. We know this year has been extremely challenging for you, and we appreciate all that you've done.
First Five wants to send a big appreciation for the work that the early care and education field and teachers have provided. You've done amazing work. You've invested in our community and kids. Thank you so much. And from the team at First Five, we say Yay, big appreciation. Thank you.
so
Thank you for
yes.
everything you've done. Yay, good job.
So much.
That was special. I want to thank everyone that participated in taking the time to honor our wonderful ECE community, and for some of our participants for submitting children's artwork and photos. And we have another video to share later on in the meeting. Before we start tonight, to center us and to get us in a place of reflection, we're going to use something called a word cloud. If you click on the link in the chat or to menti, menti.com, and enter in the code here on the Google slide, it will take you to a web page that will ask you a question, and the results that everyone enters will show up on the screen. So this is the question: what are some words that come to mind when you think about how you have navigated the new now? I'll repeat it. What are some words that come to mind when you think about how you have navigated the new now? So we're going to take a moment, we're going to listen to some music and go to the word cloud.
What's the number again? The code?
The code is 69060391. What words come to mind when you think of how you navigated the new now?
You can never look at the love of Poingwa mama na mwana utakota te Putuna moi mamele na kopunda Mobotia zami sisae Mwana ndefo lolo Nyuso sala ponangao Mamele na bungang Mamele na bungang Masuma pona bombe na Halloween. Imbana kunde kunto senga to malia mama. Mawas na wesa. No mo yo bala ye. Wila so bana upa. Oh my. Sambo boni sisi ana Halloween Pinyolo mande
Wow, thank you. Let's see some of the things that are really resonating with people. What comes out: cautious, flexibility, safety, connection, courageous, creative, thankful, determination, community, cooperate, respectful, resourceful, new experiences, nervous, faith, fear, thankful. Did I say that one already? Stay strong. Zoom, virtual. Let me see that one. Okay. Normal, prayer, God, distance, patient, joy. So many different feelings expressed here. Wow, that's great. Thank you for doing that. I think that really gets us centered for tonight. So now I want to transition and turn this over to my colleague, Priya. And Priya is the director of Oakland Starting Smart and Strong. And she has a very exciting announcement.
Okay, hi everyone. So excited to be here tonight. And I know we typically have a raffle at our events, but for this meeting, we wanted to offer something to all of you as participants. And what we are going to be providing for you all is an opportunity to have a roll-up stadium blanket with the Early Learning Symposium logo. All you have to do is fill out the post-meeting evaluation that'll be sent to your email later today and tell us your name and mailing address by next week, May 26th at 5 p.m. And we really wanted to show our appreciation to you for all of your hard work this year and for your commitment to learning and growing, and how you've attended the Oakland Early Learning Symposium events this year. We really hope you can go out and use your blankets and enjoy nature this summer. I also wanted to let those who submitted artwork for our tribute video know that we'll be sending you an additional appreciation gift as well. And we'll be in touch with you soon about this via email. So remember to fill out the survey with your name and info, and you should be getting one of these blankets in a few weeks in the mail. Now back to you, Carla.
I think, Carla, you're on mute.
Sorry, guys. Thank you, Priya. To start off tonight, we are going to hear from two organizations that provide early care and education to many children in Oakland. First, we will hear from Dr. LaWanda Wesley, who is Director of Quality Enhancement and Professional Development at Oakland Unified School District, and she will be joined by two OUSD preschool teachers, Maria Flores Ortiz and Alondra Flores. We will also hear from Alyssa Burton, Connie Ferris, and Lisa Ross from the City of Oakland Head Start program. They will all talk about how this year has been a challenge, but it's also been full of opportunities to grow and learn, both for young students and also for teachers and staff. They will also talk about how they think the new things we have learned will carry forward onto the future. We will start with Dr. Wesley. And Trina, really, my apologize for slaughtering your name there. Back to you, Dr.
Okay, everyone does it.
All right, well, welcome everyone. I'm actually going to be brief because my colleagues, Alondra Flores and my colleague, Lupita Flores, is really going to take center with their voices as educators in the classroom. But when we were entering the new now, for me, it was end of February, beginning March. All the skills I had as a teacher from my past, as a preschool teacher, a school age teacher, a head teacher, an administrator, now an administrator within Oakland Unified School District supporting professional development. I couldn't rely on my past skill set and trying to think about distance learning, how to provide virtual learning to little ones on the screen. That was so contradictory to what I believed about screen time, what the National Pediatrics says about screen time, and saying they have to be on the screen this many minutes so that it counts towards, meeting the California Department of Education requirements or meeting our own internal requirements and making sure our kids aren't experiencing, we don't like to say learning loss, we say accelerated learning, but we didn't want any slippage of learning, right? And so trying to figure that out and be respectful of the hard work that educators do directly in the classroom, was really difficult for me. So as we advance to the next slide, some of the questions that came up for me, and maybe this is a pondering and a provocation for you as well. When you hear the word challenge, what do you think of? And I'm going to be honest, I want, it's not even on here, but I wanted to run. I was like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be respectful of educators and really honor children and honor families. And how do you help families to become, they are their children's first educator, but how do we honor families in a more formal role in education? They do it naturally. And so as I continue to navigate the new now, and try to just stay with it and stay the course and be determined, as someone said earlier, you see in the far right hand, this word paradigm shift. It's like, okay, you have to shift from your mental model or the frame of what you used to do, and this is completely different. So I had to do a lot of self-talk, self-coaching, and also talk with educators who are deeply knowledgeable about this work. So you see the woman with her hand on her chin, and I was like, I'm thinking constantly. I literally would stay up for 12 to 14 hours trying to figure things out. And I came up with plans that I wasn't able to share with different programs like Oakland Head Start, who took it and made it even better. So anyway, I want to now just allow you to hear from educators within Oakland Unified School District who are far more gifted than I am and skilled at sharing their story and their narrative. And so I want to just call on my colleague, Alondra Flores, with Oakland Unified School District. And then next, if Ms. Lupita will go.
Hi, thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be here sharing with you all. And as Lawanda said, my name is Alondra. I work with OUSD at Highland CDC. And one of the biggest challenges during the pandemic was technology. I'm not a techie person, so I had to learn to teach a class online through Zoom, how to use Zoom, how to keep the children engaged during the class and know if they were really learning. It was challenging for some of the families too. Some had lost their job, had struggles to pay the rent, faced COVID at home. I sometimes felt like a social working, getting information of resources, making phone calls and translations for some of my families. I felt the responsibility of being sensitive and flexible. I made accommodations for my Zoom class. I had morning class, late afternoon class, and one-on-one class for some of those families that were essential workers. Now that we are in person, the challenge is keeping those little ones with their masks on, and keeping that classroom and material sanitized. But I have a great team that supports me to accomplish all of that. Besides the challenges, something that have worked for us, and that can only be possible in a perfect world, is the low ratio. Having less children in the classroom has given us the opportunity to provide quality time for each child, especially those that need more support. It has been amazing to see their progress in these 2 months and see happy children transitioning to kindergarten with confidence. Also, virtual Wednesdays, virtual Wednesdays are great for us, for our safety, to keep our centers clean and sanitized, and for the mental health of our teachers and children. Pandemic has been a tough experience for everyone, but it brought us together as community. I connected with my families like any other time before. I got closer to my team at my center, and we became stronger than ever. So I'm gonna stop talking because I want to give also the opportunity to Lupita to share. There's so many things to share, things that have worked and things that we're still working on, but it's been an experience, one experience of a kind for us. Lupita, I'll leave
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Lupita Flores, and I'm an ECE teacher at Bridges Academy. And I have to, you guys said everything I wanted to say. One of the things that I want to share too, and I also, I'm speaking from my colleagues too, is the connection that it was tough sometimes to connect with the families, adjusting your time to their schedule. Some families had more than one kid at home. The issues with technology, the internet, making all of those adjustments and not feeling like you're, supporting each family. It was the struggle for me. And, but like Ms. Alondra said, the pandemic has taught us new things with technology. We learned how to navigate, how to show videos, how to play music, how to take pictures. And knowing that, this generation, it's great with technology. The kids learn fast how to unmute and mute themselves. They learn computer tricks super fast. So it was also a learning experience for me, for my rest of the team too. One thing that I believe I will continue to do is the safety part, knowing that, if someone is sick, sending the messages that, if you're feeling sick, being a little bit more strict about that policy, that keeping everybody safe. I think in the past we followed it, but it wasn't such, important. And now that, we know that safety is an issue and safety can bring us together and can put us away, it's one of the things that I will implement on keeping strong and keep it focused with my families, with my team, to follow those strategies. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes. Thank you both to Ms. Alondra and Ms. Lupita. And the last thing I would say with OUSD is that we were able to be aligned in completing certain professional development, like around trauma responsiveness. We are anti-racist, anti-bias school district, so we all got trained at the same time on the same content. So we are really excited about that. So I'll close with that, and we're excited to continue with those types of trainings coming into the 2021-2022 academic school year. And that is it for Oakland Unified.
Thank you so much, Lawanda, Alondra, and Lupita. We will now move on to the City of Oakland Head Start. They will talk about how Head Start pivoted to continue their programming over the last year and how they see the Head Start program incorporating these new methods and learning on into the future. Alisa, the floor is yours.
Thank you. We're really excited to be here to share our perspective in terms of the City of Oakland Early Head Start and Head Start program. Just to give you a brief overview of who we are, we have been in Head Start for a very long time, serving children and families within many communities of the City of Oakland Head Start program. We serve over 1,000 families. We serve them directly through different models, center-based model, home-based model, through partnerships. We have partners at Laney College, St. Vincent Day Home, our delegate agency, Unity Council, our partner, Brilliant Babies. So we are so appreciative of the good work we do, the hard work we provide. But when this pandemic hit us, we rose to the occasion. We adapted throughout the pandemic. By first, as everyone, initially we went completely virtual in the spring. We prepared over the summer by having an aggressive approach with a reopening manual, training staff, making sure our families were safe, making sure our environments were safe. We pride ourselves on making a difference in the lives of children and families. We reopen with the fact that through this pandemic, we're going to ensure safety. But when I think about what some of the realistic challenges were, the pandemic was winning. Even though we celebrate families, we celebrate children, we celebrate our amazing staff, this pandemic hit us really hard. But at the end, we realized that we were warriors. The warrior game is on. That we are resilient and that we are heroes and sheroes for the city of Oakland. When I think about some of the challenges that hit us, COVID hit our sites directly. Children, staff, parents. Our communities were hit hard, harder than most communities within our state. When we look at the colors all over the state of California, those colors for our states, even our county, when we think about our communities where we're serving some of the most vulnerable children, it was impacted more so. The theme that comes across for me as far as the challenges is trauma. There was fear, there was hesitancy about our lives, hesitancy about survival. We relied on many mental health systems and our wellness approaches to get us through this pandemic, which we're still going through. Enrollment and attendance was a challenge. Families weren't bringing their children to school. Staff were not coming to work. COVID was winning. But the program kicked in. We created models, hybrid systems, virtual systems, Zoom. We at one point completely shut down for like 2 or 3 months after the holidays. And then after the holidays, the program completely reopened. And as I think about another perspective, I want to celebrate our early learning community within the city of Oakland, as well as our early learning professionals that make up City of Oakland Head Start. Like I said, we are resilient and we are sheroes. I don't want to take too much time because I want to now turn it over to 2 amazing City of Oakland Head Start staff, Lisa Ross and Contarina Farish. And I want them to share their perspective in terms of how we change and how we're pivoting to continue and make a difference. So I'll start with Lisa and then we can go to Contarina.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Lisa. I work at Tassafaringa Head Start. My challenging was to let the parents know that it's okay to bring their children back to school. That was a big challenge. So I had to set up a way to let them know we will respect them. We will respect their children, but we will still teach their children as well. So it was a challenge to say, okay, how can I help you? What do I need to do to get your child to return back to the program? As to where we had PPP orders for the children, for the families, for the staff to make sure our classroom were clean, to make sure everybody had their mask on. We also were setting up where families, staff, and children could go get, COVID testing. And when we opened up, like we was closed down for 3 months. And when we opened back up and could say that the staff could go get their vaccinated, parents as well can go get their vaccinated to work in the community, set up a lot of resource to help families, if they was having issues paying bills, having food, trouble getting food, childcare. We had resources for them for get childcare outside of Head Start. A lot of things were challenging, but we went through it. We got over it. We just persevered on all of it. I am happy that we have children now. We have to have less kids, but it's okay. It was okay. And I'm really a person that will really try my best to help the families and my community to keep it strong. So thank you, Ms. Trina.
Thank you, Lisa and Elisa. I just really want to piggyback on a lot of what my sheroes have spoken on. Because when March 13th, we had to shut down, and that was like, what? No children, no parents. What are we going to do? How we're going to assist our community, our families, because now it was like parents were working less. They had less money. They were struggling to buy food, to pay their bills. And what could we do as a community to assist our families? Well, number one, guess what? We started a food program. We were packing up bags of food to be picked up by the families, to be delivered to the family's home. We had like PPE equipment, we had diapers, pull-ups, whatever the families asked us for, we were like heading out to go get those resources for them. There were times when late at night we would deliver food to parents who didn't have transportation. You know, we just said, hey, we're going to get this done. Our families need these items. And I'm a person who's a people person. And it was really, really difficult for me not to be at the school site to see the babies as they learned, to see the parents, to, you know, to be able to be one-on-one with them. But we say, okay, we're going to do Zooming. We're going to text them. We're going to call them. We're going to give them all these resources, you know, to support them and to empower them, to make them feel, you know, I can do this. I am the person who can do this. I have the support of my community. And through all that, our parents rose up, they persevered, they became really empowered. And that's what we do at Head Start. You know, it's to empower them, you know, to say, hey, I can do this. I'm going to get through this, even through this pandemic. And this pandemic hit us really, really hard because we had a lot of families that were in fear. You know, they didn't know where to turn. And just to get that phone call from a staff person at Head Start to say, hey, we care. What can we do for you? That was amazing, because parents are saying to us, thank you. Thank you very much. We didn't know where to turn, but you showed us that there are people in our community who will help us. And I don't want to cry or anything because I have so many, just so much emotions locked up in me that, man, I just want to take somebody and hug them every time I see them, you know, even if it's a virtual hug, to let them know that we are there for them. So I don't want to take up any more time. I'm pretty sure there's other people who want to speak on it and, you know, just say, hey, we have sheroes and heroes and we are doing it. We are coming out better. You know, this pandemic did not knock us down, because we're back up and we're fighting harder than ever. Thank you.
Wow, so inspirational. Thank you so much, Elisa, Contarina, and Lisa. It really is interesting to hear how these organizations who serve so many children in our city pivoted to continue to support families and children. We have a couple of minutes to take questions. Again, you can use the raise hand feature in Zoom, or you can put your question in the chat. We have about time for about 2 questions. Don't be shy. You can raise your hand or put it in the chat. No questions? Oh, okay. Maria Ayers, you want to unmute yourself and give us your question?
Okay, so I was wondering, you know, after this pandemic and all of this had happened and all the struggles and all of, you know, the things that we face, teachers getting sick and children's getting sick and parents getting sick. I was wondering, do you have any idea when the state is gonna open for everyone to come back? And are there any policies when they open up all the childcare centers for a full attendance?
That's a really good question. And I don't know if my colleague Jennifer is on. I don't know. We had a meeting today about what may be on the horizon. And I don't want to, Jennifer Caban, put you on the spot, but I'm wondering if there's anything you want to share.
Oh, like I can't unmute myself. And then I'm like, sorry about that. So the question was related to kind of what's coming down the pike. What explicitly was that? The ratios on TK and that's
Well, just like, when do we expect to open up? What would that look like?
Open up in terms of classrooms?
Yeah, potentially classrooms, programs. In general.
That is expected for the fall. Like there's like, literally the way that they speak about it is like open doors, like things will go back to normal in person. The guidance around K-12 in particular, TK-12 hasn't been necessarily put out for what it would look like in the fall. So that is anticipated. Sorry, you guys are here and I know the camera's here. But I'm looking at y'all. So yes, so the ratio for TK is being reduced or proposed to be reduced from 1 to 24 to 1 to 12. And then yes, K-12 will be kind of regular open doors at this particular point.
There's also a question in the chat too. Maybe you can take this one, Lawanda. What is the ratio for OUSD kindergarten class size for next year? Will there be split sessions?
That is a really good question. Similar to what Jennifer said, but the presumption, again, not definitive, is that we will go back to business as usual. And so the class size we don't see that there will be a split session so far. I don't know if that really helps answer the question. Pre-pandemic, we know that preschool was, at least for the school district, was right now we try to operate for like a 1 to 10 ratio, but it's business as usual. It just depends. It's hard to answer definitively, so I don't want to say anything that will, in this space, and it stick. So, but the goal is to go back to business as usual. And it depends on your school district and your program.
Okay, and I think I see one more. I think I can kind of slip this in. Are there any summer programs to help children catch up on academics? Anyone want to take that one? Summer programs?
This is Lawanda again. I only can speak for OUSD. There is some murmuring about having programs like a summer reading challenge. It would be for TK through, I believe, TK through 5. So anyway, there's just murmurings. We're planning next week to see what that could possibly look like. But nothing that I think has been solidified within our school district. But I know there's other systems and programs in the space that might be able to answer that question and can maybe place it in the chat.
Yeah. Yes, and Jennifer, again, thank you so much. Jennifer did comment that there is money in the budget for tutoring, but not final summer program included. So we know that this is a really hot topic and interest of parents and providers. And I think the resource list or whatever we can find, we can provide after the convening tonight, but I'm going to, if you all give me permission, move us ahead so we can stay on time and get you to your breakout groups. But thank you for those great questions. And we will follow up as the resources are available to us. So next, we have two providers who are going to talk about the challenges they face this year, their work to overcome those challenges, and how they see care being provided at both centers, like the YMCA of the East Bay and at a family child care home. First, we will start with Leilani Isan, who is the nutrition specialist at the YMCA of the East Bay. Thank you, Leilani.
Hi, thank you, Carla, for that introduction. So again, yes, my name is Leilani Ison. I am the nutrition specialist for the YMCA of the East Bay Early Childhood Impact. And just a little bit of background if you're not familiar with us. So we have grown within the past few years. We have gone through a name change. Our program, Early Childhood Impact, is a branch of the YMCA of the East Bay. We currently operate 15 childcare centers over a pretty wide geographic region. We have centers all the way from Hayward and Alameda County to Winters and Woodland and Yolo and Sacramento County. So we're have the pleasure of working with multiple communities. And in Oakland, we have different models as well. So we have 2 childcare centers, East Lake and 21st Street. And then we also have our home-based program. Running the numbers just through March of last year up until now, we've served around 243 children in Oakland. So it's really a pleasure and an honor to be in such a space with so many people who are so passionate about these families and communities and children. And to the speaker who had emotions coming up, I think that is completely natural, and all of us have carried so much and all the work that we've done. So just want to start with that. And I'm happy to represent our program and just to share, some of the talking points around challenges and what we did and what can we expect looking forward. So we can go over to the next slide, if that's possible. So just echoing a lot of what the other speakers already touched on, if I have to think, or if we think of the challenges in terms of buckets, I would say, similar to previous speakers. So one, of course, was, pandemic happened and we had to shut down centers. And of course, immediately our hearts and our minds went to our families we know have high needs and who struggle. So one of the things was, how do we stay connected with families during center closures? So in March, we completely shut down between March and July of 2020. So we were not providing any in-person care. The other bucket, and I will go back and kind of just look at some of the things we did, but the other bucket would be, of course, shifting to virtual programming. So this, I think, was just an amazing opportunity for growth. And we look back at, this whole experience and, definitely growth and challenges, but hopefully we can all kind of sit back and look at what we were able to achieve as individuals and as colleagues and as a program. Lastly, of course, how do we ensure safety for when we do reopen for children, staff, and families? So I will start with that just because that was a big nugget. I'm sorry, well, let me backtrack to number 1. So one of the things that we did was survey our families. And this was a big push to see what emergency needs we can support with, what resources in the community we connect families with, as well as get updated information, because I'm sure, as you know, phone numbers change, emails change, and we wanted to make sure that we can connect with our families. Other things that we did was just partner with other community resources. So from that needs assessment survey, I would say that the highest needs came out around childcare. Families were impacted and lost work. So work was, among those needs. Diapers and food. So similar to other Head Start programs that shared, our centers were activated. They started making kits to go home with families to help with learning. They sent diapers home. And then we also partnered with Just Fair Community Kitchen. So also looking at other organizations in the community that were impacted by COVID and looking at now these different partnerships that we can kind of like blossom and cultivate. So again, just bringing up that word of opportunity, you know. So we were out there, you know, I was loading my car up in bags and taking them to centers, and, you know, families were so appreciative. And despite, you know, the uncertainty and, you know, the fear in the air, when we were out there, it almost felt, it was very energetic just to be able to connect with families, even for, you know, a few moments. And then looking down to how we shifted to virtual programming, I would say, again, you know, for many of our staff, learning the technology was a challenge. But one thing that we tried to do was develop training and support that could be done virtually. So one of the things that our current education manager is doing for teachers is having almost like an office hour on Zoom for any questions around curriculum, any questions around distance learning. So that has been something that has been implemented. And then also streamlining efforts. So again, I'm a nutrition specialist, and what I do really intersects with what happens in the classroom around nutrition education. So I used to be able to be in the classroom, and since we're trying to keep these germ bubbles, right, I was not allowed in the classrooms anymore. And so I had to think about, well, how do we do project-based activities online? How do we meet grant deliverables during this time? So again, that really called on us to be creative and work with our partners and our consultants. And we were able to really create these really accessible and really high quality content, which hopefully I have some time to share with you a little snippet of at the end of this. And then lastly, for ensuring safety. So there was a lot of work that went into creating COVID operations guide as an addendum to all of the current policies and procedures. So that was something very specific that we did in order to be able to open up. You know, this included sanitation and disinfecting schedules. This included, you know, daily health checks. So that is something that we do for all children and staff who enter the building. We did have to make the decision to not allow parents to come into the center. So that was a challenge as well. You know, I know we were thinking of how are kids, especially that are new to the program, going to do if their parents can't even walk in with them. So that was a big challenge. But all of the staff, all of the tools put in place, we have come together to really put these policies in action and do these things every day. So, you know, other things that I included on there, of course, were purchase and distribution of PPE. Yeah, just really also having reminders and trainings at center meetings, just so that we're all up to date on guidance. The other thing that was really integral to all of this, being able to reopen and still function, and even while we have COVID cases pop up, sometimes we do have to close classrooms, sometimes it's entire centers. But our health manager works very closely and has been working very closely with local public health departments, as well as just following all of the state guidance as it comes out. So if we look ahead with all of these things that came to fruition in kind of this action emergency phase, if we can go to the next slide. But surprisingly, a lot of the things that we've implemented and kind of incorporated into our program can be sustained and almost make certain things easier. So we are looking at, you know, continuing a hybrid model. So one of the challenges that I think that it's going to persist is bringing all of these kids back. When do we all come back in person? And you know, are we going to still provide a distance learning option for certain situations? Also preparing for full classrooms again. I know our educator with OUSD had mentioned that it was, you know, it's not a lie that for teachers, it was nice to have a smaller class size. You were able to spend more one-on-one attention. So I think that is just something that everyone is going to be gearing up for. Again, I mentioned that we have often guest teachers that come in and do project-based activities with children. So that's exciting that, you know, people will be able to come back. I will be able to go back into the classroom and talk to kids about fruits and vegetables and why we drink water and dance and move. Along with that, we're really looking at utilizing outside space for learning. So obviously, you know, we are utilizing good weather for that. So again, it's going to have to brainstorm, how are we going to shift once it's cold outside, once it's rainy outside? Throughout this process, again, opportunities for growth, opportunities for streamlining and partnerships came up both internally and in the community. And then one quick note about our CACFP. So we are part of the CACFP food program. And currently we had to put a pause on family style dining, which was a real gem in our program, but we're looking forward to hopefully bringing that back up. And again, just continuing the use of virtual platforms like Zoom. You know, we are such a big program and a lot of our staff are spread out. So it'll definitely be nice to have that option to avoid a commute or to have more flexibility in when people can meet and discuss and plan. And again, utilizing outdoor spaces for family and staff.
Thank you, Leilani.
And then I didn't know, but if there is time to play a brief snippet, and that's totally fine. I think that it's going in the chat box. And again, just thank you for allowing me this space.
Thank you so much. And we appreciate your energy, and please do make sure that we get those resources that we can share with folks afterwards, but we want to try and keep it moving. But thank you so much. And now we're going to hear from our family child care provider, and where she will talk about her experiences. Charlotte Gwynn, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. I'm Charlotte Gwynn, and I'm a family child care provider with a large family child care in Oakland. I'm downtown Oakland. I'm on the corner of 14th Street. I get all the protests in front of my home, which can be scary in itself. But when the pandemic hit, it was a very exciting time for me before the pandemic, a few days before, because I was going to surprise my best friend with great Laker tickets because she's a Laker fan and my daughter is a Laker cheerleader or dancer. So I was so excited and I didn't tell my friend. My baby called me. She's a senior at USC. Mom, I don't know if it's going to happen. There's a rumor that NBA player has the virus, and it wasn't all out. This is like on a Monday. The game was on a Thursday, the 12th. And I said, oh no. Well, I didn't tell my friend. And you guys know what happened on the 13th shutdown. And I had to, the hardest part for that, because I have 2 college students who work for me and they live alone and they work hard. They have another part-time job, to say, we got to shut down their jobs. They got car notes. They were like, a few of them were like, what am I going to do? And then I just met with them and I said, number one is safety. We have to close the school. That was a huge thing. One good thing that happened, I had a parent treat where I was able to do one email to all the parents and let them know that Friday, the 13th of March would be our last day. Some were in disbelief, but most of them had been watching the news, so that was okay. The safety part of it for me, I had 12 children at the time of the pandemic, and of course, months later, I had 0. I did have 3 essential workers, 2 nurses, and 1 security guard at Kaiser. So in April, I opened back up. I opened back up in April. And it was kind of scary because my mom and my sister are nurses and they're in the heart of seeing everything. And they were like, you're gonna open? And they were very nervous for me. So my sister's at John Muir, she's seen a lot of bad stuff. My mom, she's in Atlanta where they're not believing. So they were like, what are you gonna do? Do you have masks? Of course I didn't have any masks. So one of my employees can sew and she started making masks. Amazon was my go-to. No Amazon. You try to order masks, which usually costs $19.99. $79.99. And you guys know the demand was so high, the supply was so low, we couldn't get any PPEs. So I have some photos, and my employee, she made all of my children a mask. She made me 3 masks in April, and then I would leave them, I would wash them and have them for the children. And then the thing of the thermometers, no thermometers. I had the thermometers that go under the arm, and my 3 children came in April, and I have an infant, and I'm trying to get it under the arm, and she's wiggling and woggling, and I was sweating at the door. Parents, they all lined up, come at the same time. It was a hazard, not a hazard, but it was very hectic for me. And I thank God for the R&Rs, because Bananas gave me the digital forehead thermometer. It was like I had died and went to heaven. So hats off to our R&Rs and for the PPEs. Some of the things that I've done, and I'm not going to change, and I'm going to take it right into the future, is my shoe rack at the front door, to help all these things, to help stop the spread of all diseases, not just the coronavirus, the flu. The kids come, I have a little foyer, which is pretty cool. They come up 3 stairs. There's a gate in my home, and we put their shoes, and now it's like butter. They come in, they take their shoes off. There's a sanitizing station when they're walking up. They like to bloop, get their sanitizer, come in, toilet, and wash their hands. We have now, I didn't have it at first because I didn't have any money, but I got a grant. I got a couple of grants thanks to First 5 and thanks to our governor. So now we have touchless garbage cans. Not going to change that. Touchless soap dispensers. Not going to change that. Touchless pull down paper towel dispensers. That's going to stay forever. The way we always cleaned and sanitized. That's the rules of, community care licensing, countertops, those things. Of course, the problem was when the demand was so great. You guys know we went into the stores and the shelves were empty. I remember, I'm a person that kind of stocks up. I could always buy one, get one free of the sanitizing wipes. Of course, when the demand came up for the PPEs, we couldn't find them. So we had to do what we could, bleach and water. Some of our kids have asthma. We had to make sure that it's very light, but just doing what we could. The next thing was these pretty pictures right here. The kindergartners never went to school. 2 of the kindergartners didn't go, and that's my 3rd and my 4th grader. They didn't go to school. 2 of them have special needs. When they go to school, they have 2 to 3 teachers who I work with and talk with. So we have 4 distance learners. So that was a challenge once the children started coming back, because the 3 of us couldn't do it. 2 of the distance learners needed one-on-one for at least 3 hours. So I did, hire another employee. Someone mentioned prior to that, we became tech specialists. I know a little bit. I would give myself maybe a C+ if you said, how much of a computer whiz are you? But now I think I'm about a B-, at least with distance learners, because I'd be like, oh, check that, wait a minute, flip that. and me and my teachers, we have helped these children. I guess a couple of weeks ago, one went back to school and I was able to talk to the beautiful, I'm gonna give a shout out to Oakland Unified because I have 4 schools and the teachers are wonderful. And when I met one of the students, 3 teachers, they were like, oh my God, my name is Charlotte, but they call me Auntie Rose. Auntie Rose, we see you. She's like, I need water. And we like, I need more pancakes, you know, and this is one. So we're like short order cooks, but they said, you have really helped the student. And first we were doing 2 days a week, and then we started doing 5 days a week. And the teachers were like, is it okay? We love, you know, she's just, the child was just doing so much better being at the daycare for, you know, Zooming.
Miss Charlotte, you are such a gift and amazing to hear from you. And you're so inspiring. And I'm sorry to step in now, but we're going to stop because we want to play the video to honor you all and get you all to the breakout room. So would you please permit me to just say thank you and to step in now and move us along and just to appreciate you. So we do appreciate you.
And absolutely. And the last thing, the meetings that you guys do, you know, encouraging us, it means a lot to the family childcare providers. So I'm going to say hats off and thank you guys for all you do. And you see, we're on everybody that's on this line. It's a thank you because we appreciate it. Thank you.
We thank you. We can't thank you enough for sharing your wisdom and your time with us. So thank you. And we are all inspired by what you all have shared with us and how you continue to provide care during the pandemic and to think about new skills that you've learned and can be transferable to the future. And so now, as promised, we're going to see another special video in your honor. And so Jackie's going to play that video for us, and then we'll move on to breakout groups.
Actually, I think we were going to try to go right to breakout rooms. Is that still okay? Just because we're a little worried about time. Is that okay with everybody?
Breakout groups, here we come.
Okay, thanks, Carla. If you want to share the slide, Jackie, on the breakout rooms, is there some, I think there's some questions. And then Diana's gonna get us in rooms in a minute.
Hello. Hello.
Did
Hello?
it kick me out?
Hello.
Yeah, check this out.
We can hear you now.
Hi, welcome back, everybody.
Oh my God.
Okay, thanks for coming back. You're going to need to select your language. So again, go down to the globe and the interpretation globe, select your language. Reminder, if you are on a mobile phone, look for the 3 dots for the interpretation and then select your language. And in our final minutes here, we want to share with you a video. So take it away, Diana. It's Diana. Okay, here we go.
Hi, as the mayor of Oakland, it is such a pleasure to celebrate and honor our early childhood educators at the Early Learning Symposium. Thank you for taking time out of your incredibly busy lives during this unprecedented year. To practice what you preach, to be curious, to engage, to learn. It is such a blessing. Now more than ever, we have seen how you are the most essential of our essential workers. You literally hold our futures in your loving hands. We know that your work is literally what changes the future of the people in our beloved city of Oakland. That you are creating those synapse connections, creating curious learners, and kids that know they are loved, cared for, honored, and respected. Thank you for that beautiful work. And I hope that you see that our state government especially is recognizing what an important investment you and your work are. There is much more work to do to get to where we need to be in supporting our brilliant babies. But your advocacy, your commitment, and the impact of the work you do every day is what has gotten us to this moment of advancing the work of early childhood education. Thank you so much for being in this transformative profession, for being the most important educators for our youngest minds, and for creating that loving foundation that will grow our learners so well forever. I am so grateful for everything you do. On behalf of the entire city of Oakland, thank you. We honor you. We celebrate you.
Hi, I'm State Senator Nancy Skinner, and I'm pleased to be able to thank and honor the true champions who supported our families and kept our communities thriving. And that's you, our early learning professionals, who are the folks that keep our childcare, our preschool, our Head Start programs, and so many other facilities alive and thriving, and for whom our essential workers so depended on in the middle of this pandemic. So I want to thank OUSD and Oakland Smart and Strong, Bananas, and so many more for hosting this early learning symposium and bringing you all together. We know how challenging, as I mentioned, this year was. And everyone who continued providing those essential services, I mean, you are just, we owe you a debt of gratitude. We've got your back with this collaboration that you're part of and support from the state and others. You'll all come back stronger than ever.
Wow. Oh boy, that was sweet. Thank you, everyone. This brings us to the close of our final event for our symposium. And we just want to thank you. I hope you feel the love because we appreciate you all so very much. We hope to see you at future events next year. I'm not sure we're going to do this again in person, but keep watching your email and we'll let you know. But most immediately, we're going to be sending you an email, which will include a post-meeting evaluation. So please fill it out. This is how we form topics for future events. And remember to fill out by May 26th, the form so you can receive your roll-up blanket. You'll also, if you put in for a professional development certificate, we can get that to you. We did record the meeting and all the follow-up materials will be sent out to you in the next few days. So I want to thank our interpreters, speakers, facilitators, staff, the symposium planning team, also the Rainin Foundation and the Packard Foundation for supporting this event. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Have a good week. And if we don't see you formally, have a wonderful summer. Thank you all so much. Good night.